guys, today we're really going to explore thoughts and the power of thoughts in determining your success at raw, staying high raw or full raw or any goal really, but we're going to keep it to in relation to reaching your raw goals in this video. Now, I want to remind you that whenever you're starting to eat more raw, it's always going to be the hardest. And I want to remind you that it is going to get easier. I wish someone had told me. It's going to get much easier. So in the beginning, your body's more acidic. It's going to crave that acidity. And over time, your body will be more alkaline, so it's going to not crave it as much. Cravings will go away. You know, they'll take longer, or if you go 100% raw, for example, they'll probably go away in like 3 months, maybe 4. Fully, you know what I mean? But if you go like 80% raw, you'll probably have more of them, but over time they'll get weaker and weaker. Because I'm at 95% raw, and I know that after my cheat meal, I would have more cravings for the first few days. But you know, even those get weaker and weaker every week. So I think that's because your body gets more alkaline. So in regards to thoughts, they are hugely powerful in determining your success. The way you look at these raw goals that you have for yourself is really going to determine your success. So thoughts is really important. And one thing besides that, because no matter how good you think about it, if you make this mistake, it's going to be very difficult for you to stay high raw. So you have to make sure that you're full. Because being hungry is a very biological, instinctual urge that we have. And if you're hungry, maybe you can manage it one day, but over in the long run, you are going to end up binging on the worst foods ever. And that's because your body creates this acid burn, you know, and it wants really more acidic food. So when you're hungry, you're not looking at bananas and dates and you think, oh, that looks good. You know, you don't even want to look at it. You know what I mean? I have experience with this, and then within my training clients and from what I've seen. So please stay full. It's the number one reason people fall off this diet. They don't eat enough. I eat 3,000 calories a day minimum, and I'm a size 2, okay? If you feel like your metabolism is slow, it's even more important to eat those calories and train it over time to speed up, because when you don't eat enough, and I have clients, oh my God, I know I'm going to tangent, but I have clients, oh my God, they eat probably 1,200, 1,300 calories a day, and they work out at least an hour a day, and they're overweight, like way overweight, and you're like, and they're young, you know, and it's just like they've killed their metabolism. But the good news is you can salvage it. You can bring it back to be normal or fast or whatever. You can train it. You're going to have to eat more often and more calories, you know, work your way up. So I'm not going too depth into that topic. Let's go back to you got to stay full. You can computate your caloric requirements and make sure you're getting them from raw calories, because the thing is, you're going to underestimate how many calories you're going to eat. Like 1 pint of tomatoes is just 100 calories, okay? That's like, you need like 8 of those for a Big Mac. You know what I mean? So like, don't eat a Big Mac, but I'm just saying that the calories is going to get you fuller, and so you're going to have to make sure you eat enough. And so I would keep track of those calories just so you can, until you get the hang of it. It doesn't have to be forever. I would keep track of how much you eat for a week and kind of see, oh, okay, I get it. I do need to eat a lot more. I do need to eat 8 peaches, which is only 400 calories, you know, instead of just 3, because then I'm going to get starving and I'm going to binge on something unhealthy at dinner, okay? So thoughts are very important. So if I'm like thinking about this whole raw goals, and I'm thinking, oh, poor me, I can't eat that. I feel deprived. Look at them. They get to eat that. They look fine, you know? What do you think I'm going to end up doing, okay? Because there's multiple ways to look at one thing, and none of them are right and wrong, but they are going to lead to different actions. Because your thoughts, it all starts up here, and then, you know, then that leads to emotions, actions, and so on. Everything starts up here. So instead, if I looked at someone eating whatever, like pizza or whatever in front of me, and thought, well, I know what that tastes like. I'm okay with not eating that. I'm still full. I can still enjoy food. And by the way, you appreciate and enjoy the food the more you get along. Your taste buds like want it more. They regenerate and they just kind of want it more. But and think, well, I've had that experience. I know what that pizza tastes like. I haven't had this experience. And yeah, they may look okay. I don't really know what's really going on with them. Like I told you, I hear young people talking about health conditions at like 15 and 18. It's like, whoa, you should be glowing with health right now. You're young, you're full of enzymes, but no, the food's really toxic nowadays. And so I see people talking that, so like, even though this person's eating this pizza, I don't know what their energy levels are like. I don't know what their mood is like. I don't know how they're feeling. Like, I can't see if they have any health conditions, and half of people I talk to nowadays have some sort of health issue, So, I don't know if, they're at their ideal weight or health level. It doesn't, so I can't tell just because they may look fine, And so when I think of that pizza, I can't think of just that glorious moment. I gotta think of the whole picture. I gotta think of, what about after? What about their life? Are they full of energy, vitality, happiness? Are they feeling energetic and hopeful for the future? Like, what is really going on? Because I know that even though it seems like nutrition wouldn't affect those things, I know from my experience that it does. So, so there's multiple ways I can look at that. I can also look at that and think, oh, that probably, tastes good to them. In time, my watermelon will satisfy me just as much if it doesn't right now, because the food does taste better. Your taste buds get more sensitive, and they acquire that taste for the fruits and vegetables they were designed for. You ever heard of acquired taste, right? For like Hollandaise sauce or Diet Coke, people acquire taste for it. Which by the way, I was on that for like most of my life on soda, especially diet soda. And you're going to try to quit it, it's going to be like just the first few weeks, you're going to get a lot of dry mouth and kind of like you want it. Oh my God, you got to stop that diet soda. Like, I could really get into it, but it's actually making you gain weight, even though it's 0 calories, because your body actually gets more hungry because it thinks, oh, I got something sweet, and it didn't get any calories, so it kind of wants more food. So you're not doing yourself a favor, and it's extremely fake and toxic for the body. I'm not going to get into it because I can go on about it. But anyways, I drank it for over a decade, and soda since I was 4. I grew up with the worst diet imaginable, which is another reason why I think if I can do this, anyone can. But just go a few weeks without it and just drink water or whatever. And then when you taste it again, you'll be like, whoa, this is so weird. How did I ever like this? Because it's an acquired taste. So, when you look at that pizza, and think like, oh my God, like when I see people eat cooked food, I'm like, whoa, it's already gone? Like 2 to 5 minutes and it's gone. Because when I sit down and I eat, like, yeah, I don't think that you spend more time with raw foods. I think you spend about the same amount of time, maybe a little less, but the majority of that time is eating versus cooking and cleaning and, oh my God, like I occasionally do some cooking cooking here and there, not for myself, but I always kind of I'm so surprised about how much time it takes to cook a proper meal. If you don't cook and you eat out, that's even like less healthy. So to actually cook and clean, oh my God, that takes forever. So there's a learning curve in the beginning when you're learning raw and what to eat and what you like and don't like, but after that, this way of eating is faster, if at least the same amount of time. Okay, so and most of it's spent eating, which is like instead of cooking and cleaning and, oh no thanks. But so think about everything, so when you think about what people are eating, people like to think of the glory moment. They don't dig under the hood of the car and, so no one gets away scotch-free. Some people handle it better than others, but in the end, the human body was designed for fruits and vegetables, okay? And I'm going to go a little bit into this, okay? And then we'll go back to thoughts. So if you read the book 80-10-10, which I highly recommend by Dr. Doug Graham, he will point out the 30 dissimilarities we have with carnivores and that we have in common with herbivores, okay? From our long, plant-friendly digestive tract, it takes meat 3 days to digest in your digestive tract, okay? It's meant for plants. And that 3 days, parasites hatch. That's why it's really scary fact, but 90% of people have some sort of parasites in them that robs them of energy and sends them cravings for cooked foods and other like sugar, yeast. They love that stuff. So they literally send chemicals to your brain. So 90% of people in America have parasites because of, eating meat, especially raw fish, has a lot of parasites. So if you want to get rid of that, I know I go into topics, but Diatomaceous Earth is good for that. And then you can check out some other parasite cleanses, okay? So meat is not meant for the human body. Our teeth from our saliva to our acidity in our body. And even carnivores tend to live shorter lives than herbivores, you know? So meat is not meant for the human body. There's no nutrient you can get in meat that you can't get from plants, okay? So when it comes to B12, it isn't even, it's found in organic soil, okay? So even most people who are eat meat are B12 deficient. So if you're not going to eat organic soil, like not wash your vegetables, and you know, so I would just everyone take a B12 supplement, because the way we eat nowadays is not the way it used to be. Before cooking and the mention of cooking and farming, you know, we were all just foragers, hunter-gatherers. We were just mainly foragers. I mean, we'd only hunt meat in desperate times, because if you think about a dead cow on the grass, do you find that you start to salivate and that you want to eat it? You know what I mean? No, unless you cut it up and cook it, you don't want anything to do with it. It's gross. It's not within your instincts. A true carnivore would go and pounce on that thing and enjoy ripping it apart and eating it. You know, our nails are not fangs. They are meant for peeling fruit. You know what I mean? When you look at a fresh cherry tree or a mango tree, then you start, you know, you're out in the wild. That's what you want. That's, you know, you're going to eat meat when you're desperate. And that's why we acquired some sort of capability to handle it, but it's really not designed for your body. That's science. That's not speculation. That's not experience. That's not, oh, you know, these people look better without meat. No, that's hardcore science, okay? So you can really research this. Read 80-10-10. It makes the diagrams really clear and the points really clear. And meat is very hard to digest. Like, to take apart a fruit, you know, it takes sometimes less than an hour for you to digest it and, you know, use those nutrients. To take apart meat is a lot of energy for the body. Like a steak, and it takes at least 3 days to fully digest, and it's a lot of energy. So think of that energy, because most of the energy you use in a day is for digestion. 70% of your basal metabolism is for digestion. Think of all that energy you're freeing up for other things, which is one way that you get more energy when you eat more raw foods. Okay, so I'm not going to go into too much why raw veganism is the perfect diet. I went into it a little bit already. I know that I feel the best, you know, when I'm raw vegan, which I am, versus prior. And there's no nutrient you can find in dairy or animal products that you can't find in raw foods. By raw foods, I just mean fruits or vegetables. Don't let it sound exotic and strange to you. It's just fruits or vegetables. So back to the point I was trying to make earlier. When you were foraging out, you had no cooking, what would you do? You'd find trees, you pluck fruit. You'd find herbs, you eat them. You find greens, you eat them. You would do that pretty much all day. You know what I mean? You wouldn't want meat because you couldn't cook it and therefore it'd be gross. You would eat it if you're desperate. And then you'd find nuts and avocados and stuff like that, but in more moderation. You know, you wouldn't find them everywhere. So you were eating a low fat, high carb, raw vegan diet. I mean, everyone used to be like that. You know what I mean? Maybe that's why we made it so far. The problem is, this is the first generation that's actually unhealthier and expected to live shorter lifespans than their parents, okay? So the cooked foods we're eating right now, the foods that we're eating right now are kind of making us sicker as a species, and we need to get over it, you know what I mean? And also, you may or may not care about this, but raw veganism is going to, I think it solves at least half the world's problems. And imagine people walking around raw vegans. They're just happier, calmer, less violent, you know, happier people. So they don't really cause those problems and issues. And it's a spiritual thing too. I'm getting tons of tangents here. But it's great for the planet. It's great for your health. And it's great for just everyone to be around you, because you'll just be happier. Everyone loves happiness, right? Okay, so back to thoughts. So there's a million ways I can think about something, but it kind of boils down to seeing the negative and to see the positive, okay? So their own experience, there's no right or wrong. Positive is not necessarily right, but it will lead to a different emotion. Positive will lead to happiness and joy and stuff like that, and negative will ultimately lead you to not feel so good. So they're not right or wrong, they're just different experiences. So when you think about, I'm eating this food, what do you feel about that? You know, food is very tied to emotions, memories of childhood, ways that most people emotionally eat and aren't even aware of it. You know, and people tie food with love, because so you have to. That's something I had to work on. The emotional eating, I wasn't even aware I was doing it. The fact that food is love. is associated with love, you know, and a lot of cultures and a lot of just the way people grow up. And so there's a lot associated with that. Now, if you're going 100% raw, you really have to, first of all, you really have to want it. And you really have to work through these things because you're completely retraining your belief system about food. You have to, like, for example, one thing that I would like to do is when I would watch like a movie, I like to eat popcorn. Well, I can't do that anymore, so I decided to substitute. Like, I can eat snap peas or cherries. That's kind of like popcorn, you know? Or you have to say, well, why do I have to eat while I'm watching a movie? You know what I mean? Why can't I just really enjoy the movie? I think I can really just enjoy the movie, and I think that when I'm eating, I don't even notice that I'm eating anyways. So you either have to retrain the way you think about it, you can substitute, there's different ways you can handle it. So when it comes down to what's going to motivate you is find the positives. Find why you're doing this. You know, you didn't do this because you wanted more negatives in your life. You wanted your life to get better. You wanted yourself to feel better and to look better, or whatever your goal is. No right or wrong goal. Find those top 2 or 3, because in moments of vulnerability or whatever, you're gonna not want to think about the whole freaking list. Find your 2 top most compelling reasons and let it drive you, okay? And stay full, because even if you have those reasons so strong up here, if you're hungry, forget it. You know what I mean? You might make it through, but not for way too long. It's just the way you're designed. So stay full, and then think to yourself, why am I doing this? You know, find those benefits. Like for me, I like to imagine myself looking better, the size that I want, the happiness that I wanted, you know, and I kind of visualize that, and that helps me. There's all these different techniques you can do to motivate yourself. In the beginning, I would watch tons of raw vegan documentaries and YouTube videos. I'd like to watch Dan the Life Regenerator. I'd like to watch all these different gurus, you know, talk, and it was educational, it was informative, it was entertaining, it was motivating, because the beginning is the hardest. Now I rarely watch that stuff because I just have that, you know, I'm just kind of in the lifestyle. It's easy. It's a lot easier for me now. So, but in the beginning, I think it is important to stay extra pumped and remind yourself that it is going to get easier and that your life will, that all the benefits will happen. Because sometimes it's hard, because sometimes you're doing all the right things and you're detoxing and you're not getting much benefits, and it's really discouraging, and sometimes you might even lose faith a little bit because there's like a million diets and a million ways of eating out there, you know, so it's very confusing. But when I think about the logic, if I ever had any doubt in my mind, which luckily for me there wasn't much, but I know some people can deal with that, think about before all this, how did we eat? You know, you wouldn't want raw meat, you didn't have access to dairy or eggs, and you were cooking, so you couldn't even make bread. So what would you eat? You'd eat fruits or vegetables, you know? So, and you'd eat them raw. So then, yeah, everyone was raw vegan. Okay, so that just makes sense to me. So, so even though you may not get benefits right away, you have to kind of coach yourself. I would coach myself through it, like talk myself through it in my head. There's all these different strategies you can use to help you go there. But at the end of the day, be very careful about your thoughts, because if you start thinking about it this way and this way, guess what that what that action is gonna lead to, what action you're gonna create from those thoughts. So, and if you think about it this way, guess who's gonna end up drinking green juice for their next meal, because they're extra pumped if you're thinking about it in a positive way. So you gotta think, and in every situation, there's positives, there's negatives. You know, what I find with the only real negative to raw food for me, you know, was, and you know, it's something that I'm still working on, is I think that I will always kind of like enjoy the taste of certain cooked foods a little more. You know what I mean? And that's okay. And maybe in time, maybe 3 more years of this, and it'll be about the same to me. But I know that I enjoy raw foods a lot more now, and that than I did before. So, but when it comes down to it, other than taste bud pleasure, which is what, a total of 5 minutes in my mouth, there's really no positives for me to eat cooked food. Now, I know some people deal with the social pressure and the social issue, and there's many ways to work around that. I discussed that in my book on my site, which I'll put the link to. And one quick thing is, first of all, if you feel like people are going to be unsupportive, why get into it? Second of all, you can always order a salad at a restaurant and modify it if you need to. And third of all, it's there's a lot of things you can say that people will understand. Like for example, you can see if you are put on a certain, you have dietary restrictions, you're allergic, and it's true because you're not lying. You really are allergic to gluten and dairy. You really are. You're not designed for it. So yeah, when it comes down to it, you gotta first be aware of your thoughts. Okay, what's going on up here? Most people don't even register what's going on here, and it's kind of determining the course of their life, and they're not even driving the steering wheel. Okay, so first you gotta have that awareness. Second of all, you gotta take control. Okay, you gotta say, no, I'm gonna think about it this way. I'm gonna think about the positives. Hey, I know that I may be having cravings right now, and it's tough, and I see them eating, and that's all I want to do right now, but I gotta remind myself it's temporary. I'm gonna eat a banana, maybe I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat a couple at least, and I'm gonna remind myself I'm doing these for good reasons, and I'm embarking on this raw journey with full of tons of benefits and magical things, amazing benefits that I really want to experience that I haven't tasted yet. And I know what that pizza tastes like. I can go in there in my head, it's practically the same thing. I don't know what this beautiful glowing health feels like. I'm sure it feels good. So, and if you're really tempted, just walk away. Out of sight, out of mind. So there's a lot of strategies you can do to optimize your success. Thoughts is something you definitely have got to master and get into, the art of mastering your thoughts, and not just for raw veganism, but basically you have control up here, you have control over your life, you know what I mean? In multiple ways. So anyways, that's my video on thoughts. There's a lot deeper we can dig into, but you get the gist of it, and always try to keep it on the positive side and stay full, okay? Okay, bye.